Hello and welcome live from Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. You're watching Newsroom series. I'm Dominic Iwiwa, and today our focus would be on the Southeast. But before we get into that, let's have a snippet of our top stories making around at the moment. Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State has signed the 695 billion naira supplementary budget passed into law by the State House of Assembly earlier this week. The supplementary budget, comprising of 125.66 billion naira for recurrent expenditure and 569.33 billion naira for capital expenditure, will be financed through various revenue sources, including statutory allocation, internally generated revenue, derivation funds, 13% derivation arrears, signature bonuses, exchange gains, and value-added tax, among others. It brings the revised total budget size for 2025 to 1.65 trillion naira. The new figure includes 425.66 billion naira for recurrent services and 1.22 trillion naira for capital expenditure. The original budget of 955 billion naira was passed by the Assembly in December 2024. Troops of 6th Brigade Nigerian Army under Operation Wellstroke have foiled an attack by armed hoodlums in Ibi local government area of Taraba State, leading to the recovery of weapons and motorcycles. A statement by the 6th Brigade Public Relations Officer Lieutenant Umar Mohammed says troops deployed at Tapga Ngasawa village received credible information from locals around Majebiu village in Ibi local government area that a group of armed men suspected to be bandits had invaded the community, shooting sporadically, vandalizing properties and disposing residents of their valuables. A subsequent search and clearance operation within the area led to the recovery of 5 Dane guns and 2 motorcycles abandoned by the fleeing assailants. The Nigerian Army is calling on members of the public to continue providing credible and timely information to security agencies to aid ongoing operations. We start off in Enugu State, where the federal government, through the Office of the National Security Advisor, has called for the need to break the cycle of violence by creating viable alternatives resolution framework for individuals and communities caught up in conflict and criminality. Speaking at a 2-day stakeholders engagement in Enugu on the development of a national disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration framework, the National Security Advisor, represented by Director, Prevention and Counter-Violent Extremism, Ambassador Myro Abbas, says a viable people-centered framework will foster lasting peace in the region. She also believes that disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration framework will end the cycle of attacks and retaliation in the region and Nigeria in general.
This is a regional consultation on the development of a national disarmament, demobilization and reintegration framework to address the issues of insecurity in the southeast region of Nigeria. The event, put together by the Office of the National Security Advisor, is holding in Enugu State and brings together various stakeholders, including security agencies, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, government officials, and journalists from the 5 southeastern states. Representing the National Security Advisor, the Director Preventing and Countering Violent Extremism, Mrs. Myro Abbas, sets the tone for the event with a call for a break in the cycle of violence.
The essence of this consultation today is clear. We must break the cycles of violence by creating viable and credible alternatives for individuals and communities caught in the conflict and criminalities. DDR is internationally recognized as a comprehensive approach for breaking the cycle of violence by offering structured and sustainable exit pathways for individuals involved in the armed or criminal groups who may have been co-opted due to reasons beyond their control.
As part of solutions, the military reiterates its commitment to partnering with civil society organizations to achieve the set objectives and lasting peace across the region.
We stand ready to collaborate with civil authorities, traditional institutions, and development partners to ensure that those who choose the path of peace and met not with suspicion but with structured support, dignity, and opportunity. Let this consultation mark a turning point, a moment when we move from fragmented responses to unified action, from reactive measures to proactive peace building, and from circles of violence to circles of hope.
Other participants make their inputs, also offering solutions to the security issues in the country.
The solution cannot come through a one-size-fits-all approach. The solution is not just a key that when you click, then it solves all the problems. The solutions are such that you need to peel the problem one layer after the other and then get to the core of the problem.
When Nnamdi Kanu is released, and those who use his name as an excuse for criminality, an excuse for kidnapping, an excuse for maiming and killing our people, will no longer have an excuse.
This is amongst many efforts by government at both federal and state levels to curb the insecurities in the Southeast. Participants are hopeful that the framework, when developed, will be adopted and implemented to serve its purpose.
Rights advocate and lawyer Femi Falana has called for radical judicial reform to make justice accessible to ordinary Nigerians, lamenting that political cases are often fast-tracked while ordinary civil and criminal matters languish in courts for decades without resolution. Speaking to journalists shortly after visiting the Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Otin Mvosi Ishalangwa South local government area, Mr. Falana admonished governments to invest in traditional systems of dispute resolution, which many Nigerians still rely on daily.
I will call on the governments of Nigeria to pay more attention to the traditional judicial system. It's not enough to satisfy the elite. We must satisfy the people and ensure that the judicial system understood by them is supported by the government. I've seen signs of governance which was not there before. I've seen evidence of physical development. I've also spoken to people. It's not enough to go around and see physical development without finding out from the people how they are faring. And I've had very positive comments from the people. And so part of my discussion with His Excellency is how to intensify these efforts and ensure that the people remain the center of the administration.
It's a historic milestone for Governor Francis Nwifuru's administration as Ebonyi State government commences payment of 10 billion naira gratuities to over 4,000 retired local government workers after 29 years of unpaid entitlements. Governor Nwifuru, while flagging off the payment at Old Government House in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital, noted that this is a fulfillment of his major campaign pledge to clear the backlog of retirees.
Hope comes alive for retired local government area employees, Universal Basic Education Board teachers, and deceased retirees as Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwifuru flags off the payment of 10 billion naira pensions and gratuities to retired workers after 29 years of unpaid entitlements. The retirees converge at the Old Government House in Abakaliki, the state capital, for verification, as the payment is being carried out on LGA basis, with beneficiaries paid directly into their bank accounts. In his opening remarks, Emeka Wano, the Executive Secretary, Local Government Staff Pension Board in Ebonyi State, discloses that the state government approved about 10 billion naira for over 4,000 retirees profiled for payment.
These retirees who have waited for too long without hope now have their hopes not only renewed but blossomed into reality. As Excellency Governor Nwifuru has approved over 10 billion naira for payment of their pensions, gratuities and death benefits covering retirees from 1996 to date. His Excellency, through this singular gesture, has further demonstrated the priority his administration attaches to the people's welfare.
The state governor, represented by the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters, Uchenna Igwe, commends the retirees for their patience, encouraging them to make prudent use of the funds to secure their personal welfare and that of their families.
As everything is on e-payment, when you submit, they screen, they pass to bank will pay. But I want to assure you that His Excellency has made funds available for this payment. You people may not receive at the same time, but it will be going from local government to local government. But I want to say that whatever you receive, please use it judiciously.
One of the beneficiaries, who spoke on behalf of others, expresses his gratitude to the governor for ending years of frustration and uncertainty.
I want to say our years of labor, they are not in vain. We are alive to see this gracious day. It's a thing of joy. Please, we are grateful to His Excellency.
Meanwhile, the state government is committed to approving more funds for the exercise.
It's a reality. We paid that of the state civil servant, the retirees, they will pay them their pension and gratuity. Up to date, we are not owing any state civil servant that retired as a pensioner or a retiree in the entire state. And today, at the end of this exercise, when the Onitsha local government, which is going to be the last local government will be paid, I want to assure you that we are not going to owe any retiree from local government system, including those that are dead.
The 10 billion naira scheme covers both living and deceased retirees whose documentation had been duly verified.
The Abia State Structures for Signage and Advertisement Agency, ABSA, has launched a comprehensive structural integrity assessment of all billboards across the state to ensure public safety and prevent future collapses. The exercise, which recently kicked off in Aba, is designed to evaluate the structural fitness of billboards, including their frames, columns, and foundations, and to detect corrosion, weak materials, or other defects that could pose risks to lives and property. Speaking on the developments, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ABSA, Victoria Onwubiko, says the move is a proactive response to past incidents of billboard collapse, such as the one recorded at Salad Market, Aba, and reflects the administration's zero-tolerance policy for unsafe structures. ABSA reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding the lives and property of Abia citizens while maintaining a cordial working relationship with advertising practitioners and stakeholders across the state. You're watching Newsroom series live on Channels Television. Still ahead, more stories from the Southeast. Stay with us. Welcome back. The people of Omambala, spread across 4 local government areas in Anambra State, are uniting for development. Despite being blessed with abundant natural resources, including the Omambala River, from which Anambra State derives its name, and rich agrarian lands, the region faces significant challenges. To this end, the Old Anambra District Development Association, in its maiden stakeholders engagement meeting at Aguleri, the national president of the association, Mr. Alex Onwike, decries the impact of flooding, among other issues, and says a new path towards growth and progress for the culturally rich and historically significant area must be activated.
Members of Old Anambra District Development Association are rallying support for the Omambala region, which comprises 4 local government areas of Anambra East, Anambra West, Oyi, and Ayamelom in the North Senatorial Zone of Anambra State to measure their growth and development, as well as set an agenda for continued progress and prosperity.
At every point in time, you come together and assess your performance. Assess where you are, assess where you were, assess where you want to be, demand for that is your right, and get it done. Demand for that step that we have taken and get it implemented.
The national president of the association notes the agricultural, tourism and socio-economic potentials of the region that include Ayamelom rice production capacity, the renowned Ogunike Cave, the Chinua Achebe International Airport, among others. Nevertheless, he decries environmental degradation the people suffer, a major problem caused by flooding.
The normal life of the communities are brought to a total stop as our people are forced out of their homes into camps elsewhere as displaced persons. Unfortunately, this is a thing that happens not by chance, but on an annual basis. Therefore, it can only be reasonable that something has to be done. Something needs to be done, and the time is now.
The representative of the governor and commissioner for power and water resources, who is from the zone, reassures the people that the present administration runs an inclusive government.
This government is our government. The man who made it possible for Professor Charles Masumundo, apart from God, to become the governor of Anambra State is from Omabala regions. And one thing I like about Professor Charles Masumundo, I will talk about Omabala region, is his ideology of one state, one people, one agenda.
With a strong emphasis on unity, collaboration and collective ideas, some stakeholders believe the region can go far.
By bringing this platform, we can now have a rallying point where we can stay together and negotiate our future. We discuss our common problems, our peculiar challenges, so that this flood we're talking about, it can be changed to a resource. When there is a dam across the Omambala River, we will generate water resources, we will generate electricity, and we will use it as irrigation for farming. And we know that our people are farmers. We intend, not only after today, we intend to engage people that matter. The town unions, the churches, the women group, educate them on what best to do to improve the lot of our region. We intend to even engage the government, because the government ought to at least come in certain areas.
They say this meeting has ignited a renewed passion to push for the interest and development of the Omambala region.
Residents of Odume in Obosi Urban in Idemili North Local Government Area of Anambra Central Senatorial Zone have organized an endorsement rally for Governor Chukwuma Soludo, affirming that his administration has made significant improvements in the areas of security, infrastructure, health, education, agriculture, and technology. The massive rally draws over 5,000 people, and Governor Chukwuma Soludo, while appreciating the solidarity, gives assurances of doing more for the growth of an excellent state as Anambra, and urges the people to shun academic mediocres who want to gamble with the governorship position.
The solidarity for Governor Chukwuma Soludo's re-election is receiving a boost by the day, as different communities are showing their support for him. This time is the turn of residents of Odume Obosi urban area in Idemili, North Local Government Area of Anambra State, to endorse him by recounting the good works he has done to make the state a better place. They didn't just troop out. They came with a promise to deliver 60,000 votes come November the 8th.
You told us when we are coming in that you will make us divide by one, and you have seen it. You are hoping towards it, and you are hoping to see it visible, and you have seen it. So whatever we have, no matter how little, how big, Father, we pray that you ever remain. Your 4 years is 4 by 4, that equals is 4 to 8.
These 14 urban communities, one of them is the prime locator, which is Odume. And Odume were 67 streets. And I want to say to you that Obosi has never been as united as it has been today.
Governor Soludo couldn't resist the urge to dance as he makes his way to the podium. He then addresses the people as he assures them of delivering more impactful governance.
Today, even much of the communities in Ihiala have been liberated. Mbosi is liberated, Osumogu is liberated, Lilu is liberated, and so on and so forth. The second, people are now getting back to their communities. We must retrieve all parts of Igbo land, all parts of Anambra, where no room for any of these criminals.
He also reminds residents of the area to pitch their tent with people who have the requisite qualification and experience to lead Anambra State.
Every job, even if you want to recruit a secretary, even if you want to recruit a driver, even if you want to recruit anybody, a manager, anywhere, you must ask for qualifications and experience. Isn't it? And when there is a minimum level of qualifications and experience you must have to hold any office that you apply for. The position of governor of a state, let alone an A state like Anambra, is not one that ends just about anybody. Just about anybody. You must in some ways also be a role model to be governor of a state like Anambra. No. You must be able to go to the schools and ask our youth to work hard. You must go to schools and encourage our children that hard work pays. But to get, you get 5, and you go and get F9, 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 F9. What? How? What are you going to be telling our youths?
Before leaving the area, Governor Soludo promises residents of Odume that zoning has come to stay in Anambra politics, adding that it will be the turn of the Central Senatorial District to produce his successor.
Stakeholders in Nigeria's extractive sector are being advised to ensure that women, youths and persons with disabilities are actively involved in decisions that affect their communities. This message comes to the fore at a one-day capacity building workshop with the theme, Centering Gender in the Extractive Sector, organized by Spaces for Change, a civil society and non-governmental organization in Imo State. According to the organizers, the workshop aims to strengthen inclusive governance by ensuring that all the voices of all, especially the marginalized, are heard in resource management and benefit sharing. They say this approach fosters inclusive participation as a key driver of sustainable peace and equitable development in resource-rich regions. Our correspondent, Eitok Ekutei, reports.
It's a one-day capacity building workshop for critical stakeholders in resource-rich communities, organized by Spaces for Change, a civil society organization working to promote inclusion, equity, and accountability in the extractive sector. With the theme Centering Gender in the Extractive Sector, participants are drawn from Rivers, Imo, Abia, Anambra, and Enugu states, including women groups, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, media representatives, and members of host communities. The organizers explain that the workshop is part of a broader effort to build local capacity and establish community vanguards who promote equity, inclusion, and transparency in host community development trusts. They also emphasize the need for fairness and representation, noting that women often bear the brunt of environmental degradation and economic hardship in oil-producing communities.
Today's training, we're trying to, center gender in the extractive sectors. And by so doing, we are advocating for inclusive governance. By inclusive governance, we mean that every strata of the society, all the groups, both the marginalized group, the vulnerable groups, when we look at the women, persons living with disability, the youths, that when decisions that is pertaining to their well-being is being taken, that they need to be on the table where some of those decisions are taken. And so today we are bringing it down to the host communities because we know that at that level, a lot of issues on our extractive sector comes up. And so if those decisions are not taken, well taken, it brings about conflict, it brings about, protest and also unrest. And so we are trying to educate, we are trying to build the capacity of community leaders today to ensure that in whatever decision-making board, whatever decision-making table, that they ensure that all groups are duly represented.
The essence of this training, or the crux of this training, is simple. For the leaders that make the decisions, that make the processes, or the leaders that actually champion these processes across the diverse host community development trust in Imo, Abia, Anambra, and Rivers, to have the knowledge and the capacity necessary to make crucial and inclusive decisions. We keep talking about equality and inclusion and being just and fair, but the fact is that for a truly just society to exist, or for justness and fairness to be seen in these host community development trusts, every single vulnerable and marginalized groups, from the men to the women to the youths to people with disabilities, every single group has to be included. No one must be left behind.
Resource persons of the workshop urge stakeholders to take action, opening up decision-making tables and giving every group a voice.
The whole idea is to ensure that conflicts are resolved amicably, because when everybody is included, the community knows peace. Why do we always have protests in oil community producing areas? It's because people are not included. When decisions that affect them are taken, they are excluded. So today we are telling them that they have the right to be included in decision making that affects them. Women bear the worst brunt of impact, and then the youth are restive when they are not involved in this. And then people at the decision making, the gatekeepers must bear in mind that if the community must have peace, then every person must be included. So that's why we're here today.
Some critical stakeholders from host communities speak about their challenges and the hardships they face from oil companies.
We have to talk about the issue of shared benefits, which is one of the things that so many oil companies has refused to do. And that has brought about a lot of unfair treatment to our people, even if the oil and gas is taken from our community. You find out that many of these communities are left behind. And so we have to talk about the issue of benefit sharing. And we have to also talk about the issue of transparency. Transparency is one of the basic things when we want to talk about accountabilities. Company has to be held accountable for whatever thing that we are doing. And I also believe that our gathering here today is not just only to learn, but to take home and think of a way to protect our communities.
Participants also share their perspectives on the discussions and lessons learned.
I believe that from the lecture, we're trying to understand our rights and what we should do as a leader to protect our community of special needs. I think what we need to go and do now is to see how we can engage with our leaders for inclusion, for total inclusion without discrimination.
For the host communities, centering gender is not just a policy, it's the pathway to peace and shared prosperity, a reason they pledge to support efforts that promote gender equity, disability, and social inclusion in extractive industry practices. Channels Television News.
And that's where we drop the anchor on this edition of Newsroom Series. I'm Dominic Iwiwu. News Track is at the top of the hour. Enjoy the rest of the day.